Thank you. Thank you. Now, I mean, with something as simple as that, he becomes a service quality husband. Pretty sharp. If he had said to her, I'm going to call you, and then he called, what would she say? You expect it, just okay. If he says, I'm not going to call you, and I call, she's happy. What if he says, I'm going to call you, and then he doesn't call? So the key principle to remember here is that whenever you can, under-promise. And then over-deliver. Right. But be careful. If it is a competitive market, for example, if it's not his wife, it's his girlfriend, and he's saying, hey, I'm not going to call you, babe, and then he calls, and the other boyfriend is showing up with roses and chocolate. So manage this one carefully, okay? All right. So these are some of the stories that happen here when service goes right. But does service always go right? I mean, do you ever have a problem with service delivery? Yeah, we call that, service breakdowns. So let me tell you a story. Alianne had a friend, right? What's his name? Abeng, of course. Okay. Abeng is sent by his company to Bangkok, Thailand to open the country office there. And they buy him a nice, they get him a nice condominium, and he needs to open a bank account. He looks across the street, and he sees two banks side by side. Which one does he go to? Well, he checks them out. Product? Same. Girls? Same. Hours? Same. So he flips a coin. Boing. Bank on the right-hand side. In he goes. And he opens for himself a checking account. Well, that's normal. He's going to live in Bangkok. He gets the checks. They've got his names printed just right. He writes away with the checks. People accept the checks. He gets his monthly statements. Everything is accurate, listed right there. Hey, it's his bank. Loyalty to the bank goes from nowhere straight on up because he has a checking account. Now, how many people does he tell that he opened a checking account? He doesn't tell anybody. Can you imagine if he walked in the office and said, hey, I got a checking account? They'd say, oh boy, good for you. So he keeps it quiet. And then a little time goes by, and he realizes it's a bit unusual, and he doesn't like it, having to always pay the foreign exchange on his credit card between Singapore dollars and Thai baht. So he figures it's time to get a Visa card in Thai baht. Which bank does he go to? Goes to the same bank, right? But if the other bank had a lower interest rate or a lower annual fee, would he switch? Sure he would. But hey, all things the same, he goes in, he opens his Visa account, he gets his little piece of plastic, the name is spelled right, he uses it at stores, they accept it, everything's just fine, he gets his monthly statement, it's accurate, the computer did it, he's happy. His loyalty to the bank goes up. Now he's talking about it like it's my bank. How many people does he tell that he got a Visa card? Nobody. Can you imagine? He goes to the office, hey, I got a Visa card. You're weird. No, he just keeps it to himself. But business is good. So it's time to get a car. Wants to get one of those nice, sleek, metallic green BMWs with the sunroof and the jacuzzi in the back. He needs a car loan. Which bank does he go to for the loan? He goes to his bank. If the other bank had a much lower interest rate, would he switch? Sure he would. But if the product's the same, he goes back to his bank, and sure enough, he gets the loan, and he gets his car. Now, he's cruising around Bangkok. He's having a great, well, not cruising in Bangkok. He's parked in traffic in Bangkok. That's why there's a jacuzzi in the back. And he's telling everybody about the car. How many people does he tell about the loan? Nobody. He just tells them about the car. And his loyalty to the bank has been growing over, let's say, 8 or 9 months. One day, gets his Visa card statement, opens it up in the mail, looks at it. Hey, wait a minute. Wait just a minute. What is this? He goes over and pulls out last month's Visa card statement, puts them side by side, and goes, hey, hold on just a minute here. There are 3 charges here, a hotel, a restaurant, a clothing store, and the numbers are the same. These are exactly the same as last month. I haven't been here again this month. I'm being double charged. In that moment, where does his loyalty to the bank go? Pew, drops like a rock. In that moment, how many people does he tell? Everybody. After all those months. If the other bank knew that this happened and called him right at that moment and said, Mr. Abeng, we understand you're fairly new in town, and would you be interested in opening a banking relationship with us? Do you think he'd consider switching? After all that time? Yes, he would. So much time to build the loyalty of your customer, so fast to lose it. So in that moment, he's upset. He picks up the phone. He calls the bank. Now, fortunately, this bank was trained by the Service Quality Center. So he gets a credit card receptionist on the phone. He goes, look, we've got a problem here, and you better clear this up right away. And she says, sir, I can tell from your tone of voice that we must have done something to terribly upset you, and I want to apologize. She doesn't even know what it is yet. He goes, yeah, well, you better get this cleared up right away. She goes, sir, what seems to be the problem? You'll see what the problem is. You just pull up my credit card number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9. And you take a look at this month's statement and last month's statement, and you'll find 3 charges for a hotel, a restaurant, a clothing store, and I didn't do it twice. She goes, Mr. Abeng, you are absolutely right. I can see that we've made an error on your statement, and I apologize. Well, what are you going to do about it? Well, let me fix it for you right away. It's done. Next month's statement, you'll see a credit on your account for the amount of those 3 charges. Mr. Abeng, I do apologize for this inconvenience. Yeah, well, don't let it happen again. Goodbye. She goes, goodbye. Where does his loyalty to the bank go? Does it keep going down? No, it comes up, but how high? Little bit, huh? So maybe it goes up to about here. But at least it's not dropping any further down. Now, about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the phone rings at Abeng's office. It's a male voice. Mr. Abeng, this is the branch manager of your bank calling. I was informed by one of the credit card receptionists that we made an error on the Visa card statement for your account. I'm calling to personally apologize. Oh, how did you know? Well, she told me. And she said you're a very important customer of ours, and I wanted to let you know that we sincerely apologize for the inconvenience. If there's anything that I can do for you to help further the banking relationship, please feel free to call on me personally, and I'll look into your matters and your account. Oh. Well, thanks for calling. I didn't really expect this call. And the branch manager says, sir, to be perfectly honest, we didn't expect to make the mistake either. But as long as we made it, we wanted to do everything we can to recover in this situation and make sure that you know that your banking relationship is very valuable to us. Oh, well, thank you. Good evening. Click, click. Where does his loyalty go? Goes up. So maybe it goes up to where it was before we made that little error at the bank. And about 5 days go by, he gets a little package in the mail. Return address, your bank. He says, I'm not expecting anything from the bank. He opens it up, looks inside, there's a computer-generated letter in there. It's from the regional director of the bank. But it's been personalized, because computers can do that kind of stuff. And it says, Mr. Abeng, I've been informed by your branch manager, Mr. So-and-so, that last week we inconvenienced you through a computer error on your Visa card statement. I'm writing to personally apologize. We value your relationship with the bank, and I want you to know if there's ever anything else we can do for you, please feel free to call Mr. So-and-so, the branch manager of the bank, at this direct phone number. We'll be only too happy to serve you. Sincerely yours, Regional Director of the bank, and it's hand-signed. P.S. As a small gesture of our appreciation for your banking relationship with us, please find enclosed a small travel wallet from the bank. You know, it's one of the things they give away when you open an account. It doesn't cost the bank much at all. But where does Abeng's loyalty go? Up! And in fact, this time, it goes up higher than it was before, and then he goes on, and he buys the house, and he marries Aliane, and they live happily ever after. Okay, this phenomena right here, look at it carefully, is what we call bouncing back through effective service recovery. And if you look at it carefully, what it says is, if a customer has a problem with your service and you recover well, really well, they will in fact become more loyal to you than if you never had the problem in the first place. Let's use a personal example. Imagine you buy a pair of shoes and the heel breaks off. And you go back to return the shoes, but you've lost the receipt. How do you feel inside as you walk into the store? Aren't you a little nervous? Don't you feel a little anxious? You don't really know how they're going to treat you. So imagine if you walk up to the counter and you say, well, I bought these shoes here, and as you can see, and she says, oh, I can see, the heel is broken off. I'm sorry. And she takes them immediately behind the counter and puts them aside and says, do you have your receipt? You say, well, no, I don't have my receipt. She goes, never mind, that's okay. We sell that brand here. We're just glad that you came back. Now, would you like a replacement of those shoes? Or would you like another pair of shoes of the same value? Or would you like a store receipt so you could buy something at a later time? And you are so relieved that you say, show me the new shoes, and you end up buying a more expensive pair of shoes anyway. But let me ask, the next time you need to buy a pair of shoes, won't you tend to go back to the same store? Yeah, you will. Why? Because you know that if you have a problem with anything you buy at that store, they're going to take care of you. And you don't know that about every other shoe store in Singapore. And your clients don't know that about every other insurance agent in Singapore. So the effort that we put in to bouncing back here can yield us a lot of value. At Singapore Airlines, when we have a flight delay, we have this. Customers don't come to Singapore Airlines for a delay. They come for a flight. And when we have this situation, we go above and beyond to make sure that we recover that customer. We'll provide phone cards, we'll provide faxes, telexes, we'll get in touch with the station manager upstream and downstream to get in touch with your relatives or handle matters for you if necessary. We'll provide you with food, you'll get a free city tour, we'll put you up in the hotel if it's a long delay. We'll send chocolates to your home when you get back if you're one of our priority passengers. And the next day when you come back to the airport, if at that moment you want to change airlines to a different flight that meets your schedule more conveniently, we will switch you and lose the revenue altogether. We're willing to lose the sale as long as we keep the customer. Does that cost us? Yes, it does. Is it worth it? Yes, it is. How much is it worth? How much should we be willing to spend or invest to recover a customer? Let's take a look at one of the best companies around in terms of customer satisfaction. It's Toyota. Now, Toyota recently launched a new vehicle called the Lexus. In Singapore, it's $230,000 worth of car. In America, it's almost a $100,000 car. Americans are not accustomed to spending that kind of money for a Japanese car. A BMW maybe, a Jaguar okay, a high Mercedes good, but a Toyota? Nonetheless, Toyota's come forward with a vehicle at that level. And then one day, in the States, they had a problem. They had what was called an engine recall of 8,000 Toyota Lexuses all over the country. Now in the States, when there's a recall, like for GM or one of the other major car companies, Chrysler for example, Americans, oh gosh, you have to take the car down to the shop and you leave it off, and then your wife picks you up and takes you somewhere else. And a couple of days later, you got to go back and pick up your car again, and you hope they didn't smear grease on it. And then you drive down the highway and you hope it doesn't explode. That's a recall in America. Toyota looked at this and said, uh-oh, we've got 8,000 of these about to happen. What are we going to do? Here's what they did. They got on the phone and they called every single one of the 8,000 people and said, sir, ma'am, please excuse us, this is Toyota calling. We must apologize. We need to bring your car in to make a minor adjustment on the engine. And we'd like to do it at the least inconvenience for you. So if you'll just let us know what's the best time and place for us to come and bring you a brand new Toyota Lexus, we'll give you the keys to that car while we pick up your car, take it back to the shop, and make the necessary repair. What would be the best time for you? Let's say he says, well, how about my house tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock? They say, fine, sir, what color of new Lexus would you like to drive? He says, I'll try the red one. So they show up at his house the next morning with a brand new red Toyota Lexus with a full tank of gas. And as they're handing over the car keys, they say to him, "Sir, enjoy the car and don't worry about the gas, it's on us." "Well, thanks." They take his car and drive it back to the shop. At the shop, they've got the car. What do? They fix the engine. They fix the engine, and as long as the darn thing is in the shop, they give it a tune-up. And they change the plugs, and they change the fluids, and they change the filters. And what the heck? They've already got the car in the shop. They vacuum the inside. Then they take the car and they put it in the body shop, and they check it for scratches, nicks, or small dents, and they fix them. And then when it's all done, they wash and wax the car. And then they call the owner and say, "Sir, your car is ready. What would be the most convenient time and place for you for us to bring the car back to you?" And he says, "Oh, already, huh? How about my office today, 5 o'clock? "Certainly, sir, we'll be there." And the last thing they do before they drive out in his car is what? Fill up the tank with gas. And they drive to his office, and as they're handing over the keys, they say, "Sir, this is your car." And he stands back and goes, "Whoa, wait a minute, that's not my car." "Well, actually, sir, it is. It's your car. It's just that while we had it in the shop, we took the liberty of doing a few things for you, no charge." And they pull out a clipboard that shows all the different things they did on that car, and it says,